Man, Houston, you know, it's a lot of distractions. Like I said, we're the 4th largest city in the country. I mean, you got drugs, you know, you got gangs, you got the neighborhood wars. It's the home of strip clubs, Houston and Atlanta, so you got that. I mean, it's a lot of distractions, a lot of things kids can get into. And none of that stuff never moved me. I guess because I always saw it, it wasn't a big deal to me. I would just keep kids in the gym. I mean, we'd be in the gym 10, 11, midnight. They'd be so tired, they don't want to do nothing. And then, you know, we right back at it the next day, so it was really never time to even think or even get distracted by those things. My name is Chris Gaston, born and raised in Houston, Texas, CEO and founder of Family First Sports Firm.
I'm like, wow, like this could really happen. By the time you're 16, like I was drafted at 19, so it was 3 years away.
I didn't really follow the hype.
It was like, whoa, what am I looking at?
I think I was in like 6th, 7th grade, and ever since then, man, he just took me under his wing.
I didn't really talk about whether my son was gonna go to the NBA or not.
We just didn't have it like that, but you know, he came out, sacrificed.
I didn't have a pot to piss in, man. I mean, I was dirt broke.
You can't go do another free workout because we don't have any gas.
Family first, as you can see, the fist, you know, represents empowerment. Growing up in Houston, you know, I'm telling my age, I'm an 80s baby. We grew up in the culture, the Screw culture. This is the home of DJ Screw. So we didn't hear music regular until I probably got to college. You know, all the music we heard, it was slowed down, you know. And that's kind of the way we move out here. We're real relaxed, we casual.
It's been a long journey. I've been blessed to be where I'm at today. And I've been in Houston all my life, wouldn't leave it for the world. A lot of things have changed over the 63 years that I've been here.
I'm from Houston, but we call it Mo City. So you don't just say you're from Houston, you say you're from Missouri City, Mo City. We're
very proud to be from Houston. We really didn't listen to Tupac and Big. Only way we heard those artists if it was on the Screw tape. You know, we listened to local artists, Lil Kiki, who, you know, he performed at my wedding, that was historical. Fat Pat, Big Mo, Big Pokey, Zero, Hawk. So like, you know, a lot of national people wouldn't know those guys, but those guys were celebrities. They was heroes around the city of Houston.
Houston was more of a football city. You had the University of Texas.
Run by Earl Campbell.
Texas A&M Aggies.
#1 of the Southwest Conference. Touchdown!
About 1972, University of Houston jumped on the scene with probably the biggest game of all times in the Astrodome. Elvin Hayes against Lou Alcindor, later known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
52,693, the largest paid audience to ever see basketball anywhere at any level.
That was the biggest game, spectator-wide ever. Here in Houston, we got to see that. And as we grew, that game stood out in my mind. So I'm just like any other kid. I'm pretty sure it stood out in their mind. So from then on, I wanted to go to the University of Houston.
In the 80s, you know, the Houston Oilers, the Love You Blue. That was huge. Warren Moon, he actually had a section of our church dedicated to him, Moon Hall.
Boom, Phi Slama Jamma comes.
Run it, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.
That set the city on fire. For 4 years, we had nothing but accolades about basketball in Houston.
The Rockets were kind of but you know, once Elijah One came on the scene, Mad Max, Vernon Maxwell, you know, we went back-to-back championships, and that was crazy. You know, the city was on fire. You know, Clyde Drexler, who's born and raised from Houston, who I actually developed a relationship with later on in life, he came back to Houston and won a title with us. So Houston, the city was on fire. And then we had the Comets, who won Houston Comets of the WNBA, who no longer exist. They won 4 championships in a row. Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, and Cheryl Swoop. So, I mean, Houston was booming.
TJ Ford era, the 2000s, where the transition just said, boom.
Not only in the city, but in the suburban areas of Houston, they had more players coming out and going to high major schools.
You had TJ Ford, you had Daniel Gibson, you had Juwan McCullough.
We had the Harrison twins, Rasheed Suleiman, LJ Rose, J. Michael Reese.
Rashard Lewis, Kelly Oubre, Justice Winslow. They all came back to back to back.
You could tell that the talent level had changed.
Yeah, I can't take no loss, yeah. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. Hit the ground, then it go off, yeah.
I'm gonna leave off names, but like Damian Dotson, we had a lot of guys.
I know I'm missing somebody, sorry fellas, but the list is just that long.
I always went to high school games when I was in middle school, and you're going into packed out gyms, packed out arenas, and it was always crazy. And I wasn't thinking about me playing in that, but like, it was, Houston basketball is big, especially if you can have one good player on the court, and guys are gonna come watch that one player.
Well, I was like every other kid, man. Thought I was going to the NBA, even though I'm only 5'8". I just swore I was going to the NBA. I just knew that was my destiny. I was a hoop head. I watched it, I read about it. We played all day. You know, back in the day, it wasn't like these kids now, air-conditioned gyms. We played in the parks. You know, 100-degree weather. And guys from my neighborhood, we would get our 5, and we'd go play against other guys in other neighborhoods. We would travel to all the parks around Houston. In the summer, that'd be like every day from probably 9 in the morning to 10, 11 p.m. at night. You know, we were playing basketball. It was me, my mom, my dad, and a younger brother. And my younger brother, he was a track athlete in football, and I was more on the basketball side. And my parents, they were very supportive of me. They pushed me. My dad actually was the forefather of everything I'm doing now. I'm just doing it at a higher level. My dad would take us, we always have a house full of kids. His truck, you know, he had a pickup truck. We have 5, 6 kids in the back of a pickup truck, and every Saturday, he'd driving us around Houston to different youth league games. He just showed me how to be a man, how to be a leader. He always worked hard. He was a school teacher, then he would overnight work at a juvenile detention center, and in the summers he would volunteer at the YMCA. He would cut grass. He would do anything. You know, if we wanted a pair of Jordans, he would go out and bust his butt to make sure we got it. As I got into middle school, 7th grade, he said to keep up with me, he started to become a referee. And because he wanted to stay on that same journey with me. So my dad, he was a super dad. Like, he's my hero. Like, he's the guy that really got me into this. I played at Madison High School, which is in the inner city. It's in the, you know, quote unquote hood or whatever you want to call it. And that was a very unique experience. You know, I'm still super tight with a lot of people that went there. And I actually played with Vince Young, who, you know, went on to become one of the biggest names ever in football. So that was a unique experience, seeing his recruiting go down firsthand. That was unique. Then my senior year, I transferred to Westbury Christian, which is a private school, which I met some of my good friends, one of them being Indy Edie.
It over to Evie, who's going to show the scouts his ball handling skills at 6'9".
Who went straight out of high school in 2003 to the NBA. He was a first-round pick with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So seeing Vince Young and seeing Indy, 2 very high-level, unique experiences, really opened my eyes to the next level of recruiting in professional sports. When I graduated college, I was like any other kid, just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, trying to find my way in life.
The relationship that I developed with Chris just came from basketball circle. He was a trainer, and he was a pretty good one, and young. So you didn't really get too many young kids that would gain the respect of players almost their age. But he was able to capture that. And I always thought that was a gift that he had, because he was 19 training 16-year-olds.
Well, I think the separation was, I didn't do it to make money, I didn't do it for a business. It was just out the love. You know, I love being around these kids, I love helping them get to the next level. I didn't just only have quote unquote pros, I had JUCO players, Division II players, JV players. I was just a gym rat, I was just in the gym, I just loved it. I was always more than just a trainer. I wouldn't just come in the gym with my cones, train, and go home. Like, these guys would lean on me for advice, whether it was girlfriend, with their family, something going on at their school, picking a college. For whatever reason, those guys trusted me and leaned on me for just more than just basketball skill development. I didn't even know that you could make money from working guys out, something that I would do for free, something I would do, you know, for the love of it. So that wasn't even a thought to make money or to even ask. And I still remember the first person who ever paid me for a workout. It was a young lady, it was a girl actually. She played at Dulles High School, and she was like, how much do you charge for workouts? I was like, charge? So I called a guy that I know that trained a lot of people. He was like, man, $35 is a decent rate. I was shaking in my boots. I was like, who's gonna pay me $35 for a workout? I'm like, that's a lot of money. $35 for 60 minutes? And I was so afraid to tell her, but I was like, it's gonna be $35. She's like, oh, okay, no problem. And then I was like, 35 is a weird number. I was like, man, I'm gonna go up to 40. I was so scared. And then I think I really lowballed myself, because people were so eager and willing to pay $40 for a workout. And there was a young man that lived in my neighborhood by the name of Tommy Mason Griffin. I've been knowing him since he was 2nd, 3rd grade. He was in my dad's elementary class. My dad coached him. And he gave me a call, because everybody calls me by my last name, Gaston. He was like, yo, Gas, let's get in the gym, I want to get some work in. So you got to realize back then, training wasn't the huge industry that it is today. It wasn't social media, it wasn't a business, it wasn't a fad. It was like kind of an unknown entity.
In those days, you kept your trainer kind of secret because you didn't know where you was getting that work in at. So you didn't share it. When I found out who was doing it, then I understood why Tommy was rising as good as he was.
I started training him, and he turned out to be a McDonald's All-American, the #1 player in the state of Texas, one of the top point guards in the country.
I coached it for a couple of years with the hoops and enjoyed every minute of it. My best recollections of him was in middle school. He was a killer.
Can't check me, nah, you can't check me. No offhand, that boy was born lefty.
I mean, you know, he could take the ball and go coast-to-coast on anybody. Had a real good raise-up jump shot. Really exciting player to watch, really. You know, one you pay $1 to go see.
The hype around the city was electric. This guy sold out arenas. You had guys in high school trying to dress like him.
He was following the T.J. Fords, the Daniel Gibsons, and he was to be the next one, and deservedly so.
My biggest recollection of him is I was working and helping out with the school in the city, Cypress Springs High School. And they had made it, I couldn't tell you what round it was in the playoffs, but they were playing against Madison, and that was the first time I actually think that I saw Tommy play live. And when I said one player beat a team by himself, like single-handedly, under control the entire time.
I mean, he was ahead of his time. When you're from Houston, you know, even guys like De'Aaron Fox and those guys, they're from Houston, but they're from the suburbs, you know.
We're from the burbs, so obviously we're soft, right?
This guy was from the heart of Houston. He played in HISD, which stands for Houston Independent School District. So he was in the center, he was in the heart, and you know, he had a huge entourage, you know, the whole family. I love him.
Y'all gonna see, just come to the game. Make sure you be there. Be there, B squad. Get there early because you might not get in.
He had 40, 50 people walking into the gym with him like he was a rock star or something. I mean, it was a sight to behold, man. I mean, arenas were sold out. I mean, it was a crazy buzz throughout the city. When we was going to the McDonald's All-American games, guys like John Wall were coming to me like, you Tommy's guy? Like, Tommy was a local celebrity amongst the celebrities. He was a guy that people in Houston followed. Even kids, his peers, they followed. And so me being associated with him and being quote unquote his guy and his trainer, it really catapulted everything, accelerated at 100, you know, full speed. I really wish I knew everything I knew now, because he'd still be in the NBA today. But I was just a young guy, he was a young guy. He was super talented, but he didn't understand the process of waiting his time. He went to University of Oklahoma. He had a great freshman year. I mean, he dominated some guys that got drafted in the first round that year. And a lot of scouts and teams told me, man, he needs to wait one more year, come back for his sophomore year. This guy be a first-round pick. But, you know, like I said, you're a legend around the city. You have so many people in your ear, and you're thinking, I made it. And he decided to leave school after his freshman year, got hurt in the pre-draft process, ended up in the G League, kind of bounced around overseas, and then just after that, you know, you become a basketball journey. It's hard. Once you out, it's hard to get back in. Funny story how I met my wife, and I finally told her the truth, you know, years later.
He told me the truth like a decade later.
Me and my friend had met some girls at a club a few weeks before meeting my wife. And so, you know, we called the girls up, and I think they were following us from a restaurant or something like that. And we stayed in Missouri City. So if you live in Houston, you know, Missouri City is kind of not far from everything, but it's not close. So as we were riding, I guess, I don't know if the girls thought we were trying to do something to them, they just, skirt. They just did. We looked in our rearview mirror, we like, where they at? They disappeared. So I think me and my friend were like, you know what, we're gonna call it a night. You know, it wasn't meant to be tonight. And so we were cutting through the parking lot, the food around my parking lot. I think we were going to McDonald's. And my wife, she's in the car, she's coming out the parking lot. And she was leaving her ex-boyfriend's house, I guess, dropping him some stuff off or whatever.
I was actually leaving my ex-boyfriend's house, and I was breaking up with him and taking back some Jabot jeans that I had bought him for his birthday. And I went to go grab some food in the parking lot. It was like almost midnight, and I see this white car pull in, like right, kind of going the opposite way of me, like flagging me down. my friendly self, let down the window, and this dude is like,
"Hey, yo, hey, you." I said, and I saw her, like, oh, she looks good. I was like, can you give me the directions to Willow Ridge High School? Now, mind you, I know exactly what Willow Ridge is. I've been there 100 times, played there, everything. But my wife, with her friendly personality.
So I'm trying to explain it to him, and then I go, I don't know why I said this. I was like, I'll show you, I'll take you there. Mind you, 12 o'clock at night.
Now, thinking back at it, like, why do I need to be at Willow Ridge High School at midnight?
I have 2 big brothers. So you have to think, like, especially back then, like young men, and especially in our area, they might be going to hoop or hang out with their homeboys. So to me, it didn't seem foreign.
But for that reason, she didn't even think. She just drove me there. Well, we followed her.
We're driving to Willow Ridge, we get there, and he goes, get out the car. Like, he was like, oh, get out the car, you know, da-da-da. I was like, get out the car? No, I'm not getting out the car. So anyways, we're back and forth.
Did she get out the car? I think she got out the car.
I did get out the car. And then he hit me with some line like, oh, well, where you coming from? I told him, and he was like, I wish I had a girlfriend to buy me jabos.
And I was like, oh, okay. I said some stupid line like, oh, you look good, let me get your number or something.
So I gave him my house phone number and I think my cell phone.
I remember I called her the next day, because back then I think we had to call house phones. And then we was pretty much inseparable ever since that day.
Early dating life, man, we were broke.
Man, you know how they say the struggle is real? The struggle was real, 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 you know. But it was some of our happiest moments of our life. We didn't have much.
I remember our first date was actually at his homeboy Tiptoe's house. And we went to watch Love and Basketball on his friend living room TV.
One game, one-on-one.
For what?
Your heart.
I thought that was so romantic. And we would go on dates. He would have like a Ziploc bag full of change.
Pennies, dimes, and nickels. And I would go up to the movie theater, you know, count out the dimes and nickels.
And he would pay for our food, pay for our dates, our dinner like that.
I mean, it was in Houston summers, we didn't have air conditioning.
So, you know, I kept a little fan or something with me.
And in the winters, no heat.
I would have a comforter, not a sheet, a comforter, you know.
I had a steering wheel with half the leather ripped off.
Like most of the steering wheel was like ate up, it was like termites ate it.
Riding on 3 tires half the time, you know, holes in the seats.
It was difficult, but we were really happy.
You know, she was right there. She could have said, oh, this dude's a scrub, I ain't messing with him. I'm gonna go get me a baller or somebody, a doctor or something, but she always saw the vision. She was always right there by my side. She never put me down or belittled me or what are you doing? She's always, you know, kept pushing me.
I grew up with like my parents. Now as an adult, I realized they're a little eclectic. So which was why I was so, I don't want to say tolerant, celebratory of Chris, you know, his dreams, his desires. But I also know what my dad is like an artist, but his career never fully took off. So I understand what that's like to believe and invest and pour into something and for it not to take off. So for me, though I push Chris, go get it, you can do a workout, you can build Houston Press into the biggest thing, you can meet up with George Raveling, like just whatever. But like I said, I also know for what it's like for it not to pay the bills and not to take off. So whenever Chris would be going to go do another free workout and we didn't have food in our refrigerator, we didn't have gas in our car, you can't call out on your cell phone, you know, all those things. There were times where I'm like, hey, you can't go do another free workout because we don't have any gas.
There were a lot of moments where I thought, I need to stop chasing this basketball. This is not healthy for me or my relationship. Even though my wife pushed me, at the end of the day, she's still a human. She's still a woman, she still has emotions, she still has needs. And, you know, she would always tell me, are you going to do another free workout? I'm like, babe, I gotta go do it. This player ran in pen, he needs me, you know. He doesn't have a father figure, I gotta go pick him up. And she's like, you're gonna do another free workout. Money going out the door, none coming in.
At times I feel like I had to be the brake as well as the gas in that area. Like I wanted to keep pushing him and push my man as far as he could go, but I also wanted to pull his coattails sometimes to be like, hey, sweetheart, like our household is suffering.
One time I had like a bunch of top players in my car. We was riding in Third World, riding down Scott Street. Ran out of gas. I got these top players in my car, and we all having to walk to the gas station. I mean, I ran out of gas plenty of times. We've got Jay-Z said that line, I've seen cars repoed, resold, and redriven. We've gotten cars repoed several times. We've gotten evicted. We had to sleep in the car. We had to eat Roman noodles.
Egg sandwiches galore. Because a loaf of bread is cheap, and then you buy a carton of eggs and some cheese and lunch meat, boom, 5-star meal.
The breaking point when I was like, you know, man, enough is enough. I had reached some success, worked out some pros, trained some high-level guys, but a player by the name of Eric Moreland, he was at Oregon State. He flunked the drug test, so he was gonna miss the whole first half of the season. And we already had a plan coming up like, Gas, you're gonna come up here, you're gonna stay with me for the first semester, because he couldn't practice with the team or anything. You're gonna work me out, and you know, you're gonna be there for me. And I didn't have money to even get on the flight. And I was just like, I remember sitting in the house, I was just sitting there crying, like, man, what am I gonna do? I'm like, my wife needs me, this kid needs me too, and I don't have nothing to support neither one of them.